Hello everyone, my name is Pinkulia and welcome back to Adventure of a Lifetime. Last time, Chisa informed us that we have 3 days until another typhoon hits and possibly moves the ghost ship on us, so we have to hurry our plans to get Emily's ring. We were just about to dive into the ship and recover the ring, so let's see how that goes. Emily nodded, the atmosphere more tense than usual. We turned to face each other, hands on each other's shoulders, then made our way into the water. Just relax. Even if you are at the bottom of the ocean, you won't be alone. Right, I'm counting on you, buddy. Finn sent us off with an encouraging squeak. I'm here for you too. I was glad we had the two of them on our side. The water line was already above our waists. We let go of one another and put on our fins. Then it was time to dive. It was a typical Ogasawaran summer day, and the sun was out with no sign of any clouds. Visibility would be good today. Emily and I made eye contact. We couldn't ask for better weather. You're right. I can already see it from here. The ghost ship was clearly visible, lying slightly tilted on the seafloor. The dark shadow among all the colorful fish and coral that looked like some gigantic monster nursing a fatal injury. Hard to believe we're really going inside. We were swimming right into the belly of that shadowy beast. The danger before us was palpable. I squeezed Emily's hand. I'm here with you. We're buddies, okay? Of course. Thank you, hero. Our hand signals expressed something along those lines as we slowly sank deeper and deeper. Emily stopped for a moment and pinched her nose through her mask. She was used to equalizing pressure at this point, though the rate of equalization varied from person to person. In her case, she had to do it fairly often. Dolphin noises. Finn was doing laps around Emily to show off how much better he was at swimming. Out of my way, you mean, dolphin? More dolphin noises. I'm not going to sink to your level. She did her best to ignore the dolphin's taunts. You okay now? Yep, already. We continued our descent. As we approached the seafloor, the blue ocean deepened all around us. The further we got from the sun, the less welcoming our surroundings appeared, like some underworld visited by roaming spirits. No fish around today. There were so many yesterday, too. Was the approaching typhoon already having effect on the area? It was so quiet around the ghost ship that I almost believed that it was haunted. Good, there's hardly anything in our way. This may be our best chance to find it. Emily looked optimistic. I nodded. Before I knew it, we had reached the seafloor. Give me some light. Right. Emily shined her dive light at my hands while I checked over the camera. This brand was well known for its underwater usability. It was sturdy enough to function in deep water without leaking, but was also really easy to use. Even with gloves on, I could reach buttons easily without losing my grip. I adjusted the focus of the camera. I'm setting the focus for 1.5 meters. The lack of light underwater played tricks with your eyes, but this distance had been the most reliable so far. Got it? Yeah, I'm fine. We're going now, Finn. You'll tell Chisa if we need help, right? Dolphin noise. Leaving a worried Finn behind, we carefully made our way through the gaping hole in the side of the ghost ship. Now do we actually find the ring? We shall see. I can't see a thing. Switch on your light. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. Emily's dive light cut through the darkness. All around us, tiny fish darted in and out of the soft corals covering the walls, tentacles swaying in the water like arms reaching out. Maybe it was just my nerves, but I was starting to think that we really had invaded the body of a living creature. Slowly now. Don't stir anything up. The interior of the ship was covered in the corroded remains of the ship, the decayed corpses of other creatures, and sand. The slightest movement would send it spiraling all around the room. We took our time as we moved through the ship's interior, using our fins as little as possible. Controlling buoyancy was really important when wrecking. Shipwrecks disrupted normal currents, causing irregular currents to form. We had to take care not to break form in these currents. Also, as a result, it was a lot more difficult to maintain proper balance if you propelled yourself forward with your fins. If we did kick up some dust, Cheese's previous warning came to mind. In a small space like this, the dust would create a thick, impenetrable cloud that would take some time to settle. If that did happen, we'd be stuck waiting for everything to calm down. With the both of us paying the utmost attention to our surroundings, we moved further into the ship. We found ourselves in a hallway lined with cabin doors. We just take a minute to appreciate all of this. I love how the bubbles are continuously moving because we're underwater, and the artist actually did a pretty good job. You look up here on the ceiling, you can tell it's old and corroded, and all the coral everywhere just looks really amazing. No sea monsters here. Emily shined her light down the hall. The way the light bounced down the hall, it felt like something nasty was lurking in the shadows. But that was just me being ridiculous. Look, there's an air pocket above us. There was a dent in the ceiling where some air had collected. If we were to get trapped with no air down here, it would be a tempting sight, but it was likely that the air wasn't safe to breathe. That uncirculated air had been in the ship for 16 years, so breathing it could get us sick or at the very worst, kill us. Here we are, door number 3. We had finally arrived at our destination. In spite of the time spent at the bottom of the sea, the door looked pretty sturdy. I'll open it. Should be safe, but stay back just in case. All right. Emily backed away to watch from a safe distance. Before grabbing the handle, I checked for any harmful creatures that might have attached themselves to the door. I didn't want a handful of poison needles or something equally unappealing. Here we go. I gave the door handle a strong tug, but it didn't even budge. Come on. Maybe there were some smaller organisms jammed into the hinges that were keeping the door from opening. Hero. I tried pulling on it again, harder this time. Crack. It didn't open. It came right off at the hinges. Well, that's one way to get a door open, I guess. Hero! I moved quickly to keep the door from falling. I'm fine. I breathed a sigh of relief as I set the door to one side. But we still had to wait for all the dirt and sand to settle before we could move on. Ooh, slight. I like it. We should be okay to move on now. Can you go first, Hero? Okay, sure. You just light the way. Do I not have a light? As Emily lit the room, I moved in to start taking pictures. I like that. That was a really nice transition. I guess we're pausing, we're taking pictures, maybe? Looks like there isn't a lot of damage. The cabin was in better condition than I had expected. I guess 16 years isn't all that long for a shipwreck. The door being kept closed all this time probably helped, too. The bed looks pretty rough, though. I took several more shots of the interior of the room. What's wrong, Hero? I'm just surprised at how normal it all looks. There was no denying this place was a mess. But under all the decay and water damage, the cabin retained a weird lived-in look, as if someone was still using it. I wasn't creeped out or anything. It was a calming space, as if a small part of the previous residents had just stayed behind. Look, there's magazines and everything. Wow, you're right. They'd fallen to the floor, but then again, so had almost everything else. Some parts had been torn away, but pages were intact. The colors still looked fresh. Even the text was readable. I'd like to see that here, reflected in the art, but it doesn't look like they did that. How weird. I wonder if my dad read these. Probably. In a way, the shipwreck was like a giant time capsule, preserving life as it was 16 years ago. I'm done. You can go ahead. I let Emily have the room. Both of us couldn't fit inside at once, so I moved to the corridor to light her way as she explored the room. So yeah, we do have a light. Why do we keep using hers instead of just using our own? Don't rush and don't touch anything until you're sure it's safe. Right. Moving her fins as little as possible, she swam into the cabin. A desk. There it is. There was a desk in the corner, just as our research had suggested. The drawer was there, too. Ah, bright light. Emily switched on her dive light, then reached out for the drawer. With a little encouragement, it came away easily enough. Well, also this is really, really pretty. Like, sure, that part of the light is really bright, but this, in general, you see the light shining off the bubbles here, and shining off her equipment on her wrist. It actually looks really nicely done. Here it is! She held up a tiny box that somehow, after 16 years, has no water damage at all. I mean, it was in a drawer, but drawers don't prevent water from getting in totally, so there would still be water in the drawer. So it should be a little damaged, you would think. You better look inside. Hopefully the box wouldn't fall apart in her hands. It's in here! Look! A small glimmer of light could be seen in the middle of the box, probably reflected from a gemstone in the ring or something. Alright, salvage successful! I didn't think it would go this smoothly, and while I was immediately filled with relief, I was a little disappointed. However, along with being very careful, we ended up falling behind schedule. Emily, we need to head back. Yeah. Uh-oh. Emily? I thought she'd been over the moon at finding the ring, but her face looked frozen stiff. Emily, what's wrong? Emily was staring at the top of the desk. She was rooted to the spot, her gaze never wavering from that one fixed point. All of a sudden, she started to sink. Pretty soon her fins had touched the floor. Hey, Emily, what are you doing? You're starting to sink. Oh, right! As Emily tried to right herself, the fin touching the floor kicked up a cloud of debris. Visibility inside the cabin took a nosedive. Emily started panicking. Emily, calm down! I grabbed her arms and tried to keep her from thrashing around, but there was muddy water swirling all around us. I grabbed Emily and pulled her toward the door. Emily, come on, get a hold of yourself. Ugh. Her face had gone pale and she was shaking like a leaf. Boop. We need to get out of here. I dragged Emily back to the hole in the hull. It was a miracle neither of us snagged our cylinders or regulators, given the state of panic we were in. And I don't remember a lot of the details, but somehow we made it back outside. I wonder what she saw that made her freak out like that. The deep waters actually looked bright compared to the interior of the ghost ship. Emily, just stay with me, okay? Ugh. She was barely conscious, her breathing ragged and irregular. Dolphin noise? Finn, I'm glad to see you. Help me with Emily. Dolphin noises. Huh? Back already? Wait a sec. You're rising too fast. Are you crazy? Cheesa! What is it? Is something wrong? I don't know. Emily just started acting strange. You ascended way too fast just now. Never mind about me. We need to help Emily. Right. Cheesa called the hospital. And with that is all the time I have for this episode, so thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!